The topic which we will be studying today is about the sense organs of human body. What are the sense organs? The sense organs are those organs which can feel or detect the changes in the environment. The stimuli which they receive or which are received by the organs of the body are called as sense organs. The detection of the environment by mammals. We have sense organs, their stimuli, and the sensations. So the sense organs are 5 types. The major 5 types of sense organs are eye, ear, nose, tongue, and skin. And the stimuli which they receive from the environment is eye are responsible for receiving light, and the sensation it gives us of sight. Ear, it receives sounds or movements which occurs in your surrounding, and its sensation is hearing and the movement of the body or balance. Nose is responsible for receiving chemicals in the air in the gaseous form, and it gives us the sensation of smell. Tongue is responsible for receiving the stimuli in the food or in chemical forms, the chemicals in the food in liquid or solid form, and the sensation it gives us is of taste. Skin is responsible for the stimuli of touch, pain, pressure, and temperature, and the sensation it gives us of texture, pain, pressure, heat, or cold. How it works, like how human beings and other mammals are able to receive these stimuli. So if there is any change occurs in the surrounding, like in the stimuli, this stimuli is received by these sense organs which are responsible for receiving these stimuli, or the change is detected by these sense organs, and these sense organs then send messages via the nerve impulses through the specialized cells which are called as neurons to the brain or spinal cord. We can say here the central nervous system. So when these nerve impulses are transmitted to the brain, inside the brain it results in the sensation which appears, which we studied earlier. The different type of sensations are result from the stimuli which we receive from the environment, like the sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, pressure, temperature. All these type of sensations appears in the brain. We will be studying here about the photoreceptors. So if we closely look at the picture of the eye, from the anterior side of the eye there is a bulging position, and the outermost layer of that bulging position is called as the cornea, which protects the eye surface and focuses light rays. The second one, which holds the lens in its position, is called as the suspensory ligaments, and the third one which you can see is the lens, and the function of the lens is to focus light on the retina. In front of the lens there are small muscular layers, color layers, which are called as iris. Iris contains 2 types of muscles. One is the radial muscles and the other ones are circular muscles. And these circular and radial muscles, by the contraction and relaxation of these muscles, light is regulated into the eye. Like the amount of light which goes into the eye, it depends upon the iris muscles. Then is the ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles, by the contraction and relaxation of these muscles, the shape of the lens is changed. Like when you are focusing on near and distant object, it is the function of these ciliary muscles to focus the lens accordingly. We have the optic nerve at the back side of the eye, which contains the nerve fibers which receives sensation or light or the impulses in the retina and then pass it down to the brain. So the transmission of impulses from the retina into the brain is via the optic nerve. On the back side of the eyeball, we have a nervous layer which contains nerve cells, and that nervous layer is called as the retina. Internally, the eyeball, we have the innermost layer is called as the retina. So the innermost layer, retina, it contains two types of nerve cells. One are called as rods and the other one is called as cones. Rods are responsible for the black and white vision, like when you see in the dark or in dim light, then these rods perform their function. And when you are in a bright light and you can perceive different colors and you can differentiate between different colors, then it's the function of cones to give you vision in bright light. These rods contain a pigment called as the visual purple, which is sensitive to low light. As I told you that it helps in the vision during dim light or in dark, not complete dark but dim light. And cones, it requires brighter light to function. Okay, the two special regions, one is called as the fovea and the other one is called as the blind spot. So the fovea, it is concentrated with rods and cones. So, and the blind spot, there are no nerve cells there, because this spot, if light appears or falls on this spot, you will not be able to see anything, because in the blind spot there are no nerve cells. But in the fovea, it gives us the sharpest vision, most concentrated with cones and no rods. There are no rods there in the fovea, but there are too many cones there. In the blind spot, as I told you, there are no cones or rods, the place where optic nerve leaves the eye. How is the image formed and interpreted as sight? So the image, first of all, the previous version of like optical science or optic science, it was that first light falls on the eye and then on the object. But a Muslim scientist, Ibn al-Haytham, proved it wrong. According to Ibn al-Haytham, the light first fall on the object and then is refracted on the eye. So the light from the object is refracted and focused onto the retina. Inside the retina, the image is formed real inverted and smaller than the object. So the inverted image is formed on the retina, and then the image will be detected by rods and cones, which causes nerve impulses. And here in the retina, the light rays or light energy is converted into electrical signals or electrical energy, which is then passed with the optic nerve, with the help of the optic nerve, towards the brain. The function of the iris muscles are the control of light, amount of light into the eye. So the internal structure of the eye, on the outer side, if you can see, there are colored cells or colored muscles on the front, which covers the lens, and it controls the amount of light entering into your eye. There are two types of muscle, as you can see. One are the radial muscles and the other one is the circular muscles. So the circular muscles, in case of bright light, they contract. When the circular muscles contract, the size of the pupil, it become small. The hole in the eye, it becomes small in the bright light. So the pupil become narrower and it constrict. And in case of the dim light, the iris and the pupil, it becomes enlarged. What happens here? The circular muscles relax and the radial muscles contract. So when the radial muscles contract and circular muscle relax, the size of the pupil enlarges and it becomes wider, or you can say the pupil become dilate. So then in this case, more light is allowed to enter the eye, helping a clear image to form at low light intensity or in dim light. How does the eye focus near and distant objects? Accommodation. Accommodation is the ability of the eye to focus objects at different distances onto the retina. Like if you, for example, can see near objects and far objects, distant objects, what will happen to the position of the eye or the lens? So when you look at near objects, then the shape of the lens become thicker, and when you see distant objects, the shape of the lens become thinner. How it happens? Like if the light rays from the near objects comes into your eye, are refracted onto your eye, what will happen to the ciliary muscles, suspensory ligaments, to these? So the circular ciliary muscles, they become contract when you see on near objects, which causes tension in the suspensory ligaments, and it reduces in size. They become relaxed, and when they become relaxed, the lens will come into in its original shape, and it become more convex, fatter in shape, are thick and short, which focus the light onto the retina. And this is the fact is that the eyes become tired after too much reading. Focusing on distant objects, like when you see distant or far objects, so the light rays from the distant object, they become comes parallel on and fall onto the lens. So in this case, the ciliary muscles relax. When the ciliary muscles relax, what will happen? The tension in suspensory ligaments increases. So if the tension increases, they will pull the lens upward towards themselves, which makes the lens thinner and wider. So then the light is refracted and lit by the lens, and light is focused on the yellow spot. And this is how the eye are when resting. Short sight or short-sightedness. The image of the distant object is formed in front of the retina because of two reasons. The one reason is the lens is too convex, and the other reason is the eyeball is too long. And what happens in the long-sightedness? The image of the nearby object is formed behind the retina because of two reasons. The lens is not convex enough, and the eyeball is too short. Color blindness. Color blindness is a disease in which you will not be able to differentiate between colors. Like in human beings, the normal color blindness is of red and green, which is most common in human beings. They are not totally colorblind, but these two colors are most common in humans when they are colorblind, green and red. They will not be able to see these two colors. And finally, test yourself. If you can see the numbers in this diagram, you are absolutely right, but if you are not, then you are colorblind.